Ask some international design experts about branding, design for government, design for policy work, and trends. The first person is Gavin Cawood. He's the operations director of Design Wales. Now, this originally was supposed to be streamed in, but apparently what's interesting is we're the opposite side of the world, so some of them will not wake up at 7 a.m. And I wanted to make it interesting I don't know if I'll wake up at 7 a.m. for something like that. But they did send their video interviews based on our questions eventually. So Design Wales is involved in design for support for businesses and regional development offices, innovation programs, networks, and research. Gavin Cawood is also with the SEE project, SEEE, a network of 11 European partners sharing knowledge and experience on how to design and how design can be integrated into regional and national policies to boost innovation, entrepreneurship, sustainability, social and economic development. So now we have Gavin Cawood.
Hi Brian, this is Gavin Cawood from National Centre for Product Design and Development Research in Cardiff in Wales in the UK. In this building I'm in, we have about 35 people undertaking activities that range from doctorate level research to consultancy in industrial design, prototyping, using the latest product design prototyping technologies, as well as a workshop which can help, in theory, take products from an idea through prototyping and through to sort of manufacture, or at least batch manufacture at the start. But alongside those, for the last 15 or so years, we've been undertaking knowledge transfer activities where we can take our expertise here in design and work with the regional government to run programs to promote and support businesses, particularly in how they understand and use design. And in doing that, we've been leading a number of networks over the last sort of 7 or 8 years with design organisations across Europe. First of all, to understand what models they've got in their nations to support and promote design, and more recently to look at how design can play a role in realising regional and national innovation policies. And maybe I'll come on to that in a minute. But you've asked me 3 questions, so I'll try and answer those questions for you. First question you had was, would you think that having a design policy or design policies in a developing country such as the Philippines help in national development? If yes, how? First answer is, simple answer is no. I think that a distinct design policy might be distraction. And a lot of nations struggle with this, and there aren't many nations around the world that have got their own distinct design policy. But where they have, quite often, it can come across as quite isolating, or quite isolated, and have its own kind of life with its own stakeholders, and not really be integrated. A much better model, and a model which more nations are finding successful and buying into, is where design is integrated into other policies, whether those are policies for economic development, social development, or public services, etc. So it's working out what model is best for you. And taking one step back, design is a very strange subject. It's one of those topics or a word which people understand in very different ways. It is such a broad you can find such a broad definition of what design means to every different person, and it means something different to everyone. So I think a job you've got is to understand what you mean by design, and I don't mean that in any kind of patronising way, but I mean you need to put it in terms that your policymakers and your industry and your public services can understand and appreciate. And a simple way of doing that is by using case studies and examples about how design has played a role. For example, I'll give you a very quick example. I won't describe what the product is in detail, but this is a medical product which tests the allergies in people's bloods. So you take a drop of their blood and you put it on this part of the device, and you'll get a little band depending on what you might be allergic to. Design played a role in this, in that a doctor came up with the idea of this innovation, and he spent 2 years and about £70,000 of being supported by about £70,000 by the regional government to develop the concept to make it work in the laboratory. At the end of those 2 years, he had a functioning kind of process which could test people's blood, but he had no idea about how to turn that into a product which could be manufactured, could be used easily, could be packaged, branded and distributed, and then disposed of. He had no idea how to turn it into a commercial and viable product, in essence. So design played a role in this product in being the bridge between the technical innovation, the scientific innovation, and the marketplace. And it can go backwards and forwards. So it should have been the design should have been taking some leads on how the product might have been used from the marketplace while it was being developed. But ultimately, it enabled him to create a business around a technical innovation and enabled it to be actually manufactured, produced, and become commercially viable. And I can run through similar stories. This is an example of a sort of a food packaging product where previously this is a high-value product. It's simply flour, but it's handmade, organic, an artisan product. And this product sells for 10 times the amount you can buy the cheapest flour in the supermarket for. And in order to reach the market and be distributed, now it's distributed internationally, they had to realise what their brand values were and how to get those into the packaging sort of on the shelf. And with relatively low investment, they've managed to do that. And they found a marketplace, found much wider distribution, and it's become a success. And the flour mill where this is produced has now reached capacity. They've sort of tripled their production and had a major success. And like most things, most things in design, it's not rocket science, it's not complicated, but it's just getting companies to realise the potential, take a step back, and to use the relevant expertise. But those kind of simple stories are amazing in convincing, particularly policymakers and politicians, about the power of design.
The next one is, before I go on, I'd say what Gavin Cawood actually was saying also, that design can be a vehicle to bring technological innovation to the marketplace. If you have a product, if you have an idea, some innovation, something you've invented, to bring that to the market, it has to be something that people can actually use, people will actually desire, that will look good in their closets. So that is what design can do.